everyone, welcome back to my channel. So one thing that I really think is cool about streaming is that like the year that a song comes out, it doesn't really matter as much anymore because now with these streaming subscription services, you can just stream whatever song you want regardless of the year it came out. So ultimately what matters is just good music is good music. People are going to stream it regardless of the year that it is released. So an example of this is how Charli XCX's new song, Party For You. So it's a song on her fourth studio album, which was released in 2020. But now it's just had like a resurgence on TikTok in 2025. So to promote the song, they made a music video and released it in May of 2025. Which actually coincide with the 5th year anniversary of that album that the song's off of. So part of me gets the feeling that that sort of resurgence wouldn't have happened before the time of streaming. I just think it's really cool because ultimately good art is good art. And so even if it doesn't get recognized until 5 years later, at the time that it's recognized, then you can go and make a music video for it and promote it. Another song I've really been enjoying is Conan just released a new song called This Song, and it's going to be on his new album Wishbone, and Wishbone comes out August 15th. I think it was last Monday where Billie Eilish announced a new leg to her Hit Me Hard and Soft tour, and one of the stops is in New Orleans, which is close enough to me to go. So she announced the stop on Monday, and on Thursday was the day that the tickets would go on sale. It was Thursday at noon. So I log on Thursday at 1 p.m. and all the tickets are sold. And so there's actually 2 performances, one Friday, one Saturday, and I couldn't find a ticket to either. So of course it's on all the reseller websites now. I haven't really looked into the pricing too much. I'm not even sure if I want to go anymore. So we'll see about that. So I watched the American Music Awards. The 2 performances I was most excited about were Reneé Rapp and Benson Boone. So Reneé Rapp did a performance of her new song Leave Me Alone, which is on her new album Bite Me, which comes out August 1st. So I'm really excited about that. The first or second time I listened to Leave Me Alone, I didn't really get it. But some songs you have to listen to multiple times to really start liking it. And so I think Leave Me Alone is going to be one of those songs where like the more I listen to it, the more I start to like it. I really liked Reneé Rapp's work up until this point, and so I think I really want to like it. But we'll see. I mean, this is just the lead single, and so I'm sure there'll be more singles to come to promote the album, and then the album itself has 12 tracks on it. So, but I'm really excited about that. So a few days ago, I went to the queer comedy festival that was held in New Orleans. It was called LGBTLOL Queer Comedy Festival. And so I had a really good experience at the festival. So they actually had events Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I went to one of the shows on Friday. So this queer comedy festival is actually an annual event in New Orleans where queer identified comedians from around the country come together and perform. So this is actually the 4th year that they've put on this festival. I'm usually not a big fan of like stand-up comedy, but I decided to give it a try because all of the comedians identify as part of the LGBTQ plus community. So I had a good time and I'm really glad I went. Last month I got the chance to go to a Remi concert. It was held at the Orpheum Theater in New Orleans, and she put on a really good show. I remember the first time I heard a Remi song, it was actually her song Photo ID. It was featured in a series on Netflix called Grand Army in 2020. And I remember the song caught my attention and I really liked it. And it wasn't until last year in late 2024 where I started listening to her new album called Big Ideas, and particularly the songs Soup and Cinderella. I really enjoyed those 2 songs and I just kept listening to those on repeat. And then I noticed that she was coming to New Orleans on her tour. So that was really exciting. So when I noticed that she was coming to New Orleans on her tour, I decided to go to the concert. One thing that threw me off a little though is on Apple Music, they do playlists that are the set lists for different artists' tours that they're currently on. And So I was listening to that set list on Apple Music, and when I got there, she was following that set list for the first couple songs, and then about a third into the concert, the set list was no longer accurate, which threw me a little, but ultimately I know that artists change set lists during tours sometimes. So if Remi Wolf ever comes back to New Orleans, I think I would definitely be interested in going to another concert of hers. Another song I've really been enjoying is The Hearse by Lydia Knight. I must have heard The Hearse on one of the different social media platforms, so I've been streaming that song a lot. A film that I recently watched that was really good was Our Son. I streamed the movie for free on Tubi, and the leads were Billie Porter and Luke Evans. I remember when this movie was released in 2023, it was either only in theaters or I couldn't find anywhere to stream it. It wasn't until a few days ago where I found it on Tubi. So I got to watch the film. It was really interesting how the film depicted gay divorce. A lot of the conversation around gay rights has to do with gay marriage, which was only legalized in 2015 in most of the country. I just thought that the story that the film told was very contemporary and modern, because this story couldn't have been told 15 years ago. But it wasn't a story about gay marriage, it was a story about gay divorce. And so that was very interesting, especially because the couple in the movie, they had like a 7-year-old. It showed how the divorce impacted the 7-year-old as well as the two spouses in the marriage. And then there were other actors in the film that I noticed that I've seen a lot of other projects, like Andrew Reynolds and Isaac Cole Powell. So another movie that I recently streamed on Tubi was Something Like Summer, and it was a love story between these two guys, Ben and Tim. The movie is actually based on a novel by J. Bell. I had no clue it was a musical before starting to watch it. I don't know if it was a jukebox musical or if those were original songs. So I've really been enjoying Miley Cyrus's new music. On April 3rd, she released the lead single, End of the World, for her new album, Something Beautiful. And then I started streaming an acoustic performance of another single off the album called More to Lose. And that was like early May. And then on May 30th, at the end of the month, she released the album. And with the album's release, she released a music video for Easy Lover, which is another song off the album I've really been enjoying. So there's a new show that you can stream on Hulu called Adults. I was really excited about it because after the TV show Good Trouble ended, I think early last year, I found that there was like little to no representation of people who were in their 20s in the 2020s. I've been kind of on the lookout for series or movies that show people in their 20s in 2025. I started seeing ads for the new show Adults. I think it's an FX show, but it streams on Hulu. And I watched the first episode, and it's really funny. So I'm excited to keep streaming that and finish the first season. A new show on Amazon Prime Video called Overcompensating started streaming on May 15th. It follows a closeted college student who's navigating their freshman year. I've only watched the first episode so far. What kind of threw me off a little is how most of the actors are in their 30s, but they're playing like 18-year-olds who are freshmen in college. I'm happy that they're telling a queer story, but I just don't know if I want to watch like another coming out story. And I think some of the more recent films that have excited me the most are the ones where the lead character identifies as a part of the LGBTQ plus community, and when the story begins, they're already out. And the events of the story have to do with either finding love or other challenges in the character's life, but it's not a coming out story. But again, I've only watched the first episode, and I do want to finish the first season of that show. So another artist whose music I've been really enjoying following the rollout for is Addison Rae. And so I've been listening to her singles as she's been releasing them. Diet Pepsi, Aquamarine, High Fashion, Headphones On. Her latest single is Fame is a Gun, and she announced that her album is going to be released June 6th. I'm really excited to hear the whole thing all the way through, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I just saw that Sabrina Carpenter is releasing a new single called Manchild, and she's releasing that on June 5th. So that's exciting.